The neighborhood was flawless, almost too flawless. Perfectly trimmed lawns, matching mailboxes, and an HOA so strict they probably checked grass height with a ruler. At first, I didn't care. I just wanted a quiet place to settle down with my family. That was until I met Linda. Linda wasn't your average neighbor. She was the self-proclaimed ruler of the HOA, always clutching a clipboard like it was part of her body and popping up the moment anything dared to defy her ridiculous rules. I'd barely unpacked when she appeared at my door, her smile more a grimace than a greeting. "Welcome to the neighborhood. I'm Linda, HOA president," she said, shoving a hefty binder into my hands. "Here are our community guidelines. We take pride in keeping everything uniform and pleasing to the eye." I nodded politely, flipping through pages of nonsense. No oversized holiday decorations, no colorful front doors, no wind chimes. Who bans wind chimes? It was absurd, but I figured I'd stay under the radar and be fine. That lasted exactly 7 days. It all started with a porch swing, a simple, lovely wooden one I put up on my front porch. My kids adored it, swinging and giggling in the fresh air. It was peaceful. Then Linda spotted it. The next morning, a neon orange violation notice was slapped on my door. Unauthorized structure. Remove within 48 hours. I crumpled it up, thinking it had to be a mistake. A porch swing couldn't possibly break the rules. I scoured the HOA binder for anything about swings. Nothing. Confident, I ignored the notice. Big mistake. 2 days later, Linda returned, flanked by 2 HOA board members like they were her personal enforcers. No small talk this time. "You were warned your porch swing violates guidelines, yet it's still here. We're issuing a fine," she said. I raised an eyebrow. "A fine for what? There's no rule against swings." Her lips tightened into that fake smile. "Any exterior modifications need approval. You didn't submit a request." I crossed my arms. "So I submit one now." She shook her head. "It's already been deemed unsuitable for the neighborhood's aesthetic." I couldn't believe it. "It's a porch swing, Linda. It's an eyesore," she snapped. "Remove it, or the fines increase daily." That's when I realized this wasn't about the swing. It was about power. Linda ran the HOA like a tyrant, and I was her new target. I refused to take it down. Over the next week, fines piled up, letters threatened lawsuits, and Linda even sent someone to measure the swing, claiming it was a safety hazard. My wife got anxious, suggesting we remove it to avoid trouble, but now it was personal. I wasn't just defending a swing, I was resisting HOA oppression. Then they crossed the line. One night, I woke to a truck idling outside. Half asleep, I peeked out and saw HOA board members on my porch with tools, tearing apart my swing. I raced outside, barefoot. "What are you doing?" Linda turned, unfazed. "The HOA can remove unauthorized structures at the owner's expense." My swing was now a heap of wood, bolts scattered like broken dreams. The neighborhood watched silently from behind curtains, too afraid to step in. I clenched my fists, furious. "You have no right." She smirked. "We have every right." I wanted to yell, to fight, but then a wild, petty idea hit me, and I grinned despite my anger. If they hated a porch swing, they'd lose their minds over what I had in store. I said nothing, just nodded and went inside. But my brain was already plotting revenge. If they didn't want to swing, I'd give them something far worse. Sitting in my living room, staring at the empty porch, I knew Linda had won this round, but not the war. If she thought a swing was an eyesore, I'd give her something to really freak out about. The idea started as a joke, a full-on theme park ride in my front yard. But the more I thought about it, the more doable it seemed. Old amusement park rides get sold off when parks close or upgrade. I opened my laptop and found listings, Ferris wheels, bumper cars, spinning teacups. Then I saw it, a giant spinning swing ride, the kind with chains that send riders soaring. It was absurd, glorious, and perfect. I sent an inquiry right away. The next day, I called my buddy Mark, an engineer who'd helped me with wild projects before. He answered, "All right, what crazy thing are we doing now?" I told him about the HOA tearing down my swing over nonsense. When I pitched my revenge, a massive ride in my yard, he laughed so hard I thought he'd choke. "You're nuts," he said. "I'm in." Within days, I'd bought the ride from a defunct amusement park for a decent price. The hard part was installation, but Mark handled that, ensuring it was safe and sturdy. We knew the HOA would try to stop us, so we planned every detail. The day it arrived, a huge flatbed truck rolled in with the disassembled parts. Neighbors peeked out, some pretending to garden for a better view. Linda, though, charged over, furious. "What is this?" she demanded. I shrugged innocently. "A ride." Her face went scarlet. "A ride? This is a neighborhood, not a fairground." I smiled. I checked the rules. Nothing about amusement park rides. She floundered, searching for an argument, but I'd read the rule book. She had nothing. When we finished assembling it, the ride was a masterpiece, tall, with flashing lights and music echoing down the street. It worked perfectly, thanks to Mark. That night, I threw an opening party, inviting everyone with free rides, popcorn, and tunes. Kids loved it, parents relaxed, and people snapped photos like it was a festival. Linda stood on her driveway, clutching her clipboard, glaring. I ignored her. The next morning, violation notices covered my door. Public nuisance, unauthorized structure, remove immediately. I grinned, expecting this. Linda knocked an hour later. "I'm not taking it down," I said before she could speak. She huffed. "You're violating multiple rules." "Which ones?" I asked. She hesitated. "It's disruptive." "Not a rule," I shot back. "It's a safety hazard." I handed her my permit. "Inspected and certified. Call the county." Her face darkened. She wasn't used to losing. She tried everything. Emergency HOA meetings, rallying neighbors, contacting the city, but I was legally untouchable. Then a news station caught wind of it. A viral video of the ride brought reporters to my door, dubbing me the guy who beat the HOA. Linda's control slipped. Neighbors mocked her, questioned her rules, and pushed back. In desperation, she made her fatal move. Late one night, my security cameras caught her sneaking onto my lawn in black, tools in hand, trying to sabotage the ride. My sprinklers kicked on, drenching her. She shrieked, waking the neighborhood. Lights flicked on, people stepped out, and I opened my door to see her soaked, mascara streaking, holding a wrench. The cameras got it all. I posted the footage online. By afternoon, it was everywhere. By evening, the HOA held an emergency meeting. By morning, Linda was out as president. The ride stayed. After that night, the neighborhood changed. People laughed, talked, and mocked the once feared HOA queen. The board stripped her title fast, no fanfare, just gone. Neighbors congratulated me. Frank, an older guy, shook my hand. "Never thought I'd see Linda taken down." "Beautiful." Lisa, fined for a garden gnome, laughed, "Sell tickets, and half the town will come." That sparked an idea. The ride drew crowds. Why not let people enjoy it? I threw a free neighborhood event. Rides, snacks, music. Nearly everyone showed up. Kids screamed on the ride, parents chatted, and outsiders came, lured by the online buzz. It ran late, and folks started decorating their yards. Lights, birdhouses, statues, defying old rules. Linda stayed hidden, but I knew she wasn't done. A few days later, an HOA letter arrived. Not a fine, but an offer to buy the ride and make it a community attraction. I laughed and trashed it. Then I saw Linda outside with a city zoning guy, waving papers, pointing at my ride. She'd lost the HOA fight, so she tried city rules. The official knocked. "Complaints about safety and zoning," he said, tired. I handed him a folder. Permits, inspections, noise reports. He sighed. "You're clear." Linda, watching, turned purple. "This is a disgrace," she yelled. He shrugged. She was out of moves. Her influence died. The HOA eased up, fewer fines, more freedom. The ride became a symbol of resistance. Linda remained a local tale of her sprinkler-soaked downfall. One evening, I sat on my porch, kids playing, the ride spinning, lights flashing. Neighbors waved, smiling. I put up a new porch swing. No one cared. It swayed in the breeze, a quiet win. Linda couldn't touch it.